What is going on, everybody? How y'all doing? I'm glad y'all here. Join us on a Saturday night for a special Infinity Equation episode. I'm excited, just about excited. Figgy just got excited. Let me introduce our guest, Mr. Beau Demayo, the showrunner of X-Men 97. Welcome to the show.
Hello, guys. Hello. Thank you for doing this on a Saturday night. I appreciate it.
We did some scheduling. You know, my calendar wasn't matched up with your calendar, but we got the calendars matched up. We're good. We appreciate
you. We're super good. Yeah.
Yes.
The pleasure is all ours, sir. Thank you for being here. Pleasure is all ours.
For sure.
Exactly.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Oh, it's great to have you on. Like, and for those who have not known, you are number 3 of the guests that we had on from X-Men. We've had the Lee Walls on, we had Cal Don on, and now we have Beau Demayo on. So there we go.
I have to follow in their glory. I have to follow in their glory. Wow. That is literally my life. It's big shoes to fill all the time.
You are good. You are good. Like, look, everybody who watches this little rinky-dink show, as I call it, is always hospitable and welcoming of every guest that we've had on.
Awesome. I'm happy to be. I'm actually looking at the chat here. This is really cool. I've never been in a program like this. So I'm just like, oh wow, I'm having a moment. This is cool.
They're a good group. They're good people. They're good people.
So first, what's going on? I.e. Goon Squad, stand up. How you all doing? Hope you all having a great day. We have some post-con stuff that we may try to go over later if we don't run out of time. Or if we do run out of time, we may do a show tomorrow. Who knows? I don't know. Whatever.
3 days in a row. Let's do it. Why not? I got
you. Yeah, I'm with you. If you're down for it, I'm down for it. Like 3 days. This is a 3-day i.e. post-con X-Men weekend. But I'm glad everybody could be here who's watching us. Appreciate y'all hanging with us. You could be anywhere else, but you're here with us. Mr. Jones says, what's up, Beau? Thank you in part to Mr. Jones for help setting this up.
I mean, Jones is just his art, just every day I'm on Instagram, just like, oh my God, what is he drawing now? What is he doing now? What is he doing now?
It's amazing. I love it.
Thank you.
Yes. Mr. Jones is awesome. Like, I love his artwork. I always try to share it when I can. And it's always amazing. He always blows me away, especially the one if you see me on Twitter, he did my profile picture that's on there now. The Black Joker. Cesar Romero got the little stash on there.
Love it.
Now I'm like, maybe I'll look at this.
Yes, he did it. So I appreciate it. I was, I'll say this. I did kind of whine for it when I was on Just Jay's channel one time. I was like, man, just forgot about me. And then he did me so quick. He did it so quick on the show. Like, while we were live on the show, he's like, yeah, I put it up already. It's done. I'm like, what?
Can you do me next? I'm just
you just gave the secret away on your show. Like, you know what's gonna happen?
Because he's right? That good. He's that good. Like, he's probably drawing right now while we're even like he's watching. He's like, yeah, let me go ahead and bust this out here. But Mr.
Just
Jones
in case,
is awesome. Yes.
Bust a pose out in case, just let me do one of these,
He's saying he's gonna get to work on it for you, so there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Look, now you're part of the crew. Now you're actually part of the crew. All right, folks. Well, again, welcome, Beau. Welcome to the show. It's a good time here. We always have a good time. We'll laugh, a little bit of crying, a little bit of facts of life over here.
Oh, we're gonna do some crying. I didn't know about that.
The crying is all the money we put out for pre-orders today on Marvel Legends,
exactly,
Classified, and everything else we bought. So
exactly,
tears for our wallets, basically. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, we were just literally talking about this. It's like, okay, it's gonna the cart total and just hit Apple Pay.
Yeah, just like okay, like Pulse, you got me again. Like,
did you see the indie stuff, the Indiana Jones stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't checked out at all yet. I've seen a couple pictures of it, but I haven't checked it out yet. Actually, you know what? We can bring it up right now before we go into everything.
I was quite smitten with what I saw. I didn't even realize they were going to come out with that, and then I was like, whoa.
Oh,
Two words: melting face. That's all. They got me with that.
That is literally that's literally what got me too. I was like, oh well, done.
They included that? Okay, no, I need to see this.
right.
I need to
So
see this.
it's funny because we talked about this. Me and Ryan talked about this last week. I was wondering if they were going to put like the symbols on them. Like, yeah, are they going to go ahead and put the Nazi symbols on there? Like, if they Disney let that fly, then oof.
It's choice. It's definitely did they actually? Now I want to know. I bought it. I didn't look to see if they did.
I bought it. I didn't look.
Was it up for pre-order? Where was it up for pre-order?
Just clicking blindly. Give it.
I mean, that's what you have to.
Yeah,
because
you really do.
It's
Yeah.
like literally while you're in the cart, suddenly, it's gone.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I move fast. Oh, here we go.
So it is a Build the Arca Covenant.
Wait, I didn't know there was
pictures.
Oh,
yeah,
what?
I didn't know either. Like
That's
all this is new to me because I forgot to watch it today. I was busy cleaning up, trying to make this look presentable for you, Beau. That's
I appreciate it. I would have just come on here and be like, that's a mess. That's a mess. I can't talk to you.
Right. He's like, look at these people. They ain't got their stuff together.
Oh, wow.
Jeez.
Okay.
Okay.
How big that is.
Don't look inside, you damn.
You're right, Equa. You are truly right, Equa.
You're
Do
right,
not
boy.
look inside.
Oh, that's an awesome idea to have that as the Build-A-Piece. That is cool, man.
That is. What they got, like one wave? Or no, they're gonna put out another wave for the next
Oh,
one.
there's nothing inside. You can.
Oh.
No, it isn't there. But you can always fake what's inside.
It'd be kind of cool if it was like piggy bank size.
Yeah.
Other stuff inside there. Oh, that's cool.
So a lot of people had issues with these because they were single jointed knees and single jointed elbows on these, like Black Series figures. Yeah.
Your first go out, they can't. Yeah, they probably broke the budget making this box.
Okay, well, these are the ones that I did not further explore, so I know what I'll be doing at 8 p.m. tonight.
Yeah, these are all the 6-inch ones.
Holy crap!
Yeah, they look great. They look amazing. I was kind of like when I heard that I think it was Greg or I forget who else. I'm sorry, I forget the name. Who else was telling me? I think maybe Greg was telling me about Greg or Brian. I was talking to, and they were telling me about the single jointed elbows and legs.
I mean, I was just a sucker for any kind of trench coat draping over. I'm a sucker for that. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, gotta get him.
There it is. There's a melting face. Oh man, they got the melt. Yes, I'm with it. And they got the monkey too. Oh man,
monkey. Oh wow.
I'm in. They got
okay.
They threw the monkey in.
That's
and then they got my boy. I forgot his name.
Got my boy. Don't remember his name at all.
Yeah, I don't remember his name. I like his character.
I'm just sitting here right now, just like. One, I mean, and this stuff works because what do I feel like doing right now? I feel like going and watching Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like, literally, I feel like seeing some Alfred Molina getting like completely petrified. And how does he die? He gets the stakes, right? And from the wall. Yes, on his way out.
Okay. I kind of just want to run away from a giant boulder personally. It's what I'm doing right now. I'll stretch first.
Do you find yourself in situations often where you're running from boulders?
Always. Like, what am I not running from a boulder?
Metaphorical.
I mean, you have
that boulder is
are we in your email box here? What's going on here?
Yeah, you get a special picture folder. Is this how you do this? Okay.
No, so Hasbro does send me the pictures. I've said this before.
Brush your shoulders off. Hold on, wait. What was that for? Hasbro does send me pictures.
Yes, you know what? Let me get my MJF out here. I'm Dark Joker Zen, and I'm better than you.
Apparently you are.
Someone's flexing right now.
A little bit of a flex.
No, I've said this before. I've said this before that after certain things they do send me some pictures of it, and they sent me stuff from HasCon, the PostCon, I should say, and I have that's how I'm able to get stuff. Like, look at it.
Look at these, and that's pretty.
Hey, Mr. Jones just said, "I'm surprised when you got to build a boulder."
I mean,
That's the first HasLab actually with a cardboard background. Yeah.
Listen, I'm not that could happen. So guys, I wouldn't put it past nobody.
the thing too is really like even the box art that these things come in now are just you
Not
just
some-
want to take it home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. We talked about this too, like with the box art, like it kind of like I do like it, but then I kind of miss like the old Marvel Legends box art where they had different artists do the box art for them.
Mm-hmm.
I miss
And
that.
and this, I understand with the plastic free packaging, but you also kind of miss like and people have an issue with like not to be able to see the figure ahead of time. Excuse me, for QC issues. Now, if it's on the back, it's a little bit hard to see, but on the front, if there's an issue, then you can kind of see like, okay, this might be the better one out of the two.
Yeah, they're just cool toys. Like that's my always my
They are.
toy.
Nah,
No, I feel you.
I will talk to you about opposable joints and my preference for opposable joints. That is a sentence that I just said. But like, at the end of the day, we're playing with action figures. It's awesome.
and that's very true. That is very true.
Agreed.
I've recently just been pulled by a friend of mine back into Legos.
Oh snap!
It was something
Good
that I
luck
just
to you, sir.
it was one of those things I was like, he's like, it's great for stress relief. And I was like, okay, we'll see how this works. And it really is so long as you don't get overwhelmed by that first pour of the box out.
Yeah.
There's a moment of actual high anxiety when you dump the pieces out that you're like, holy mo, okay, I gotta get this situated. But at the end of the day, I just built I got the Blackbird Magneto Storm set.
Oh wow.
So building that and then finished building my first build was the Aston Martin James Bond they just released.
Nice.
Which is adorable and very cute. So you really do have every single picture here.
They sent it. Yeah, they sent me the
organized and everything,
and that's how it comes. That's how it comes.
Sure,
like,
right.
It's not me just sitting there. You know what? Let me go ahead and organize all these pictures here. No, that's too much time. Me, Hasbro does all the work for me.
That's fancy.
That guy. I mean, what a great character. He literally so iconic. And I think how many lines does he have in that movie?
He's got at least, I want to say, good 20, 30 lines, maybe.
I don't remember him speaking as much.
Yeah, I'm with him.
He does. He because he speaks like when they're in the bar.
Yeah.
And then there's another part where I can't remember offhand. And then I think he speaks like when they're at the Ark of the Covenant again.
Yes.
That's
that's the part where I remember. I remember him speaking to Marion at the top because he's being all kind of like creepy. There was a ellipses there where I was going to make an untoward joke comparison to somebody, and I was like, I can't do that. I'm on. And then he kind of talks at the end, but I mean, we all remember the end. That's what I remember him the most is melting.
This is like, yes. I love how they have a little coat that can flip, like you can throw on him. It doesn't have to actually like fit on him, but you can put it on him.
I'm taking that for my other figs for sure.
I love how everyone's like, wait, I thought this was X-Men. Why are we talking about Indiana Jones?
We go off the rails very quickly sometimes here.
Yes, we do.
I didn't even intentionally do this. I just realized I been drinking coffee out of my Phoenix mug that my buddy brought.
Hold on. Wait a minute. We gotta bring that back up because I love me.
I wore that t-shirt. Yeah, I wore that t-shirt cover for engagement photos today. My wife allowed that. Yeah. Conveniently while my daughter Lalandra played in front of us. So yeah, lots of X-Men going on in my life right now. Love it.
That is not a bad thing, sir. That is not a bad thing.
No.
Literally say that next week. Oh, there she is.
She got the monkey in the frying pan, just like Greg said. Monkey in the frying pan.
With those pants that no one in their right mind would ever wear.
Never.
Only if you're in the bar in Indiana Jones movie, would you?
You can't make that work.
Bar in the middle of nowhere. Who am I competing with in terms of fashion?
Exactly.
Walk to Hollywood Studios in Orlando, walk around wearing them. Blend in with the cast.
That is true. I am from Orlando too. Plus, actually, honestly, Orlando people do wear outfits like that.
Right?
Wow. I don't know how to feel about that. Like Orlando.
You know what? I was there for quite some time, and I still don't know how to feel about it. But we won't talk about my history in Florida in Orlando.
Then, if you're a real true Indiana Jones fan, you get the Stafford Rock headpiece.
That I did buy that.
You
Did
did?
you?
Yeah, I mean,
It does light up, so it's kind of cool.
I'm never actually going to be an archaeologist, nor, I mean, as much as I dream of being like a Tomb Raider, it's too much work, quite frankly. So this is the closest thing I'm going to have to getting a relic and being able to put it on my shelf.
Yeah. Or, see, if I would knew you beforehand, I could have 3D printed it up for you. Bang.
Yeah. Now you tell me.
Yeah, right. Like,
I'm sorry.
I led with that. Cancel order. Now has anymore. He's undermining our supply line.
That's right. Anything to be to undercut the bigger man.
See, it's actually all about perspective. Like when I visit my parents' house and I'm digging through their basement looking for old toys, I feel like an archaeologist then. So it's just, you have to convince yourself what you're doing. It's a He-Man figure from 20 years ago. All right.
Right. So Greg brings up a great point. Like this is a life, the Stafford Rod headpiece set that you can just get, but there's none of the figures come with this.
They will. There's a 2-pack coming out at some point for sure. You know that,
right? But you know what I'm going to do? Undercut the bigger man again. That's right. 3D printed for everybody. Everybody gets one. You get one. You get one. You get
bro.
You get a Stafford Rod. You get a.
Yeah, everybody gets a Stafford Rod. You want some Stafford Rod? Everybody gets a Stafford Rod.
Everyone gets one. Look under your seats, everyone. Look under your seats.
You have right now. Look at them.
The worst thing would be like everyone in this room has an Ark of Covenant under their seats. You're like, no, don't open it.
Don't open it now. And if you do open it, I'm closing my eyes. And it'll be that one person that does open it. But I just want to see what's in. Wow!
There is a Hulk 181 inside every one of those, but if you open it, your face will melt.
No.
That's the thing. Like, I caught the tail end of Raiders like last week or something. I was playing in a hotel room, and when he's like, "Marion, close your eyes." It is actually it's the equivalent of when Finn is screaming Rey's name during the middle of fights. It's the worst thing to do if you actually love that person.
Right.
Like when you say close your eyes, you're like, why? And you open your eyes to actually look at the fact of what someone I was just like, like there has to be a better way to kind of get that across. I would have my eyes. Yeah. I would have opened my eyes, my face would have melted, I would be dead.
No, because you got to think about it. I'm thinking in that position. No one's telling me close your eyes, and I'm not positioning myself in a safe position before I close my eyes. I don't want to just be out here in a dangerous, like, oh, if it's right next to me, like, and like I don't.
Matters. And quite frankly, you're asking a lot of trust of me, Indy, considering how our relationship ended.
Exactly.
So like, it's but I do love those moments in movies where you're like, that is in real life, you would not be screaming Rey's name in the middle of the fight because we would get hurt.
Quick comments here. Greg says, build a dial, the city replica for the Stafford Raw. Crunchy Cheeto Creations just joined. What have we heard what Michael thinks of the 6-inch line? I have not seen the video pop up yet, but I'm sure he will have his say on that. Greg says, Indy would have been awesome to have swap arms to remove the jacket. Yeah, I can see that. That would be kind of cool. Yeah, Crunchy says that suited body with the coat will be used as a lot of photography. It's a very sharp look. Yeah, yes, it does. Transparent says, talking about a back prop instead of having a cardboard hammer prop from the Transformers Records line. Oh, goodness. At least it's not cardboard. Avenger 78 says, I picked up the Aston Martin as well. Nice.
It's really cool. And it has like different license plates depending on the era of Bond that you want your guy to be. That's cool. I'm a huge Bond fanatic. Like probably the only thing that competes with my X-Men fandom is Bond.
Okay. I do. So I'm with you on that because I can just like watch a Bond movie anytime, any time of day. Like I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna watch me some James Bond today.
Who's your Bond?
It doesn't matter which one.
Who's your Bond?
Oh,
This is
Sean
advice.
Connery.
I'm just gonna let's see if we can start a fight today. And why?
That's
Your
fine.
favorite Bond.
So it used to be Roger Moore at first.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh, why?
Why? That's weird.
Why?
Okay, let's go.
Because when I was a kid, when I was watching this, like you gotta remember, when I was a kid watching this the first time, like okay, that's the first Bond I was seen in the movie. So I'm like, all right, cool. Like, hey, I like Roger Moore's like funniness and da. But I'm more of a Sean Connery guy now. I've grown up. Now don't get me wrong. He did wrong in I forget which one it is, where he dressed up like a Japanese guy. That was just all messed up. That was super messed up. That was like you still look like James Bond, sir. But yeah, I am Sean Connery, James Bond. A little bit what's his name? Craig.
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig, yes. I like Daniel Craig too. Like the last one was kind of but I like him more as like that.
But I know about it.
Yeah.
I would have to say I grew up on Pierce, so like that was my introduction. Pierce is my dude. Specifically, Daniel Craig gets like honor because he was hardcore with it. Like I feel like he just likes beating people. Pierce Brosnan is trying to use the gadgets. Daniel Craig's like, I'm gonna chase you just to punch you in the face.
Exactly.
This gadget does kill and inflict enough pain.
Right.
So,
where I could just
I'm just gonna use my fist.
Yeah, use my fist. Take you out that way.
So real fast though, when you watch Pierce Brosnan's movies, I was also a Pierce fan.
Yeah.
The sheer sociopathic pleasure he takes in killing mass amounts Yeah, it actually makes him kind of creepy. Like Craig is very sad and angry at himself about the fact that he just really wants to kill you. Whereas Pierce is like, blah, blah, and now I'm gonna fix my tie. And you're just like, ooh, you're like Patrick Bateman. Like,
Right.
It's a little creepy.
You know what? And I think so. Mr. Jones is kind of right. I have respect for Timothy Dalton. Like I didn't really at first, but Timothy Dalton is like he's a decent Bond. Like I liked him as Bond.
Craig before Craig.
Yeah.
Anyways, he was Craig before Craig.
Yeah.
And everybody overlooks George Lazenby. Tim, who's yours?
Well, it's hard not to say Connery because I just want to kind of see Connery as Bond talk to Alex Trebek on Saturday Night Live in a sketch. But I think the real answer is I just always pretend that it's actually Archer now playing James Bond. So,
okay,
I love me some Archer.
that is also a choice. Yeah, I mean, they all bring different things. Roger for me is just like it's too May December. It's too May December with those Bond girls. It's just like, ooh, this feels gross. This just feels gross. This is pushing it. Like, especially by the time you get to A View to a Kill, and you're like, he should not be great. Like Grace, no, just like get out of the room. Connery, I have a soft spot for, but mine are actually surprisingly like if I had to go like true gut because I grew up, I actually read the novels, so that was like my kind of first way. And so Dalton was the one that always felt more like the novels to me, and then On Her Majesty's Secret Service is still to this day probably the most page-to-page, well-adapted Bond novel of the bunch, and honestly, my favorite of the bunch.
Nice.
But yeah, You Only Live Twice went better in the book. Like
I could believe it. I could believe it.
It's like the way they describe it in the book when he's being turned in to. There's really no way to say it. That's not going to get me canceled. So I'm just the thing they do to him to make him look like not English. It's more body posture and stuff, which is still problematic. But it's like Mulan. It's like or actually, I was just talking to my friend about this Beauty and the Beast. You watch that cartoon, you're like, this is not weird. And then you see the live action version, you're like, oh, this is weird. Like,
yeah,
it's like it just shifts, and you're just like, okay, I don't know how I feel about this now. The book You Only Live Twice is amazing. It's nothing like that, and Moonraker, nothing like the movies, and so good. Moonraker is amazing. The book, like, it's so good. And then You Only Live Twice, the novel, is just so like it's got the whole set piece is not a volcano; it's a Japanese suicide garden, owned by this guy called Dr. Shatterhand. It's super cool. Sorry, Bond rant.
No,
Yeah,
Okay.
you're good. Yeah.
Round 2, your favorite Sherlock Holmes. Go. No, I'm just kidding.
I will say, cast and crew hear me often cite tonally Bond for season 1.
Ooh.
I like it.
All right. So we got to get to that.
Yeah.
So real quick, we got some comments here. Dragon Eye says you only live twice. Thank you. Greg says Daniel Craig is a darker, realistic Bond. Omega Weapon 13 says Daniel Craig is the Tom Cruise of Bond. Crunchy Treat says same here. Pierce was my first introduction to Bond. I don't think his movies got way corny, but Goldeneye and Tomorrow Never Dies were solid, I think. MS says, hi, Beau. Tell me how amazing those cookies were.
That's my buddy who sent me cookies yesterday because I was having a day.
Dragon Knight says, nobody likes George Lazenby. George Lazenby was only Bond one time.
You said he was in the best Bond movie.
Yeah, I like it, but I had to see more of Lazenby. That was the sad part about it. When you watch that documentary about George Lazenby, it's you could have been Bond. You could have been Bond for a while.
I mean, think about it. That's such a setup for failure for him.
Yeah.
You kind of lost before you even arrived on set that day. You know, controversial opinion. Lazenby is a better fighter on screen than Connery.
Oh yeah.
Connery is the weird physics stopped and I can flip you with an arm. Whereas you're not in it. So headlines and curated 601. People are still talking about these toys.
Oh yeah, our viewers are hilariously, and they'll match everything back up to something you said earlier. Mobile Recluse says back-to-back IE this week. Yes, Mobile Recluse. Yes, it is back-to-back. We had a show last night. We're here again Saturday night. Greg says, Dante, you know all why Pierce's Bond ended and then why Craig's Bond was a total tone genre change, right? No, I don't think I know on that one.
Who asked that question?
Greg Finstead. He said, you know why Pierce's Bond ended and then why Craig's Bond was a total tone / genre change, right?
Yeah.
Tell us.
Crunchy says I haven't seen all the Bond films, so I can't comment on Lazenby. That's fine.
Crunchy, you have homework as of right now. I am personally asking Disney Plus to disavow your membership, and you will not be able to watch all the Bond movies. And I want a book report. The old TA me is coming out.
There you go. Four Feathers, what's going on? Rasper says, what no love for George Lazenby? Yes, we gave a little bit of love to him. Four Feathers says, congrats to everyone who got their Serpentor pre-ordered. Yes. James A.K. Ratface says, Chuckles is my favorite Bond.
That's hilarious.
Dragon Eye says, Connery's fight always took me out as Bond. Yeah, it does do that. Jasper says, Beau, you should stream X-Men Legends.
It's actually a very good idea. I don't
Fantastic
know
game.
A month and a half ago, I got a GameCube, and I just felt like playing X-Men Legends, and God, that game is so fun.
It is.
It is. Great story.
So fun, so cool. Crunchy's basically admitting now that he's going to basically pirate my show. So
I love it.
9/11.
Here we go. Greg says, Dante, 9/11 was the reason. The franchise was always lighter with comedic elements in it, but 9/11, the showrunners at MGM couldn't see that continue. That led to more grounded, closer to real Bond. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
9/11 was it was really problematic for them because they had done such a good job of taking Pierce past the Cold War.
Yeah.
That was the question, obviously, right? Was after the 80s was how do you make Bond when there's no Soviet Union? When there's no one to punch at? And then 9/11, it was okay, we're going to start talking about these shadow organizations. I mean, Judi Dench always made terrorism sound so sexy. These people with faces in the shadows. My husband had poetry. And yes, Judy, please keep talking. But yeah, he did a really, really, really great job. But yeah, actually, literally, my dissertation for my degree, I was history, I wasn't writing, was on how Ian Fleming's novels and the movies reflected kind of what was going on geopolitically at the time for Bond. Because Bond's whole thing, the whole reason Bond worked was because England was pretty much screwed after World War II. Sorry for anybody who's from England. Sorry. And like they're now dependent on the Marshall Plan and all this aid from the U.S. And so Ian Fleming created this character who was a lone Englishman who could still save the world and keep the empire going. And it just was like the perfect medicine for England's like kind of weary soul after the war. And it took off from there. And like when you read the books, Americans are always idiots. They're always idiots in the books. And even in the movies, they're kind of the first early movie. Like Roger Moore, remember the the hick? The country guy who's always like spitting tar.
Bored.
You're like, ooh, dude, you're like already in a blaxploitation film with Live and Let Die. Term boy, please. Like,
because he was that country. Like, he's like, oh, he gonna get my brother Bo. He got the best in Beau Demayo. He gonna get him. Is that no?
Yeah.
And then when he went over he was over. I forget where he was at because he met him again. It was the second time he met him. And he was like, he was on vacation. He's like, all right, what we gonna do now, boy? Who we going after? He's sitting in the back seat, like just happy as I don't know what.
Then you got Mr. Big, and then there's this whole voodoo subplot with Baron Semine, and you're just like, okay, I love the Paul McCartney song though. Like,
yo, I'm telling you,
Everything or Nothing. Yes, second screenplay I ever wrote was a fanfic of Everything or Nothing.
Oh, nice.
That game holds up actually quite well. I have an Xbox that I sometimes jam on that with. Christopher Lee is not the basis for Bond. Greg. You impressed me. Now you're back to 0. Sorry.
Greg said,
starting fights. Here we go.
Let's go, man. This is good.
Greg says Judi Dench was awesome. Want her M immortalized as an action figure. Yes.
Yeah.
James says
that would be amazing.
Yo, if we get some James Bond figures, I'd be happy.
Why aren't there James Bond figures? That's money they're not making.
Oh my god!
But for real though,
I would love to have an M with her, like, and what she comes with is her ambiguously gay chief of staff character.
Yes,
because all of her staff, I can say that I'm gay. Yeah. I pull on the card. I can say this, but all her assistants are like vaguely like, yeah, that's why this works. That's why this is an HR issue. Like it's quite like she's so good. My favorite moment is in the least liked movie is Quantum of Solace when like she walks into the briefing, right? And that's after she makes the floral joke about the quantum being everywhere like florists. They walk in, they're like all of her aides. This is how I like to think I run X-Men. All of her aides are like working. They're like, we have reports. And she goes, impress me. And they launch into their briefing. And I'm just like, that was a boss move. Just walk into your meeting and go, the goal here is not to save the world. It's to impress me.
There you go.
Like, that's why I love Judi Dench.
Yep. She's boss.
All right. We'll go through these last two questions real quick, and then we'll jump in to the main topics here.
Agree,
James says, have you guys watched the Ian Fleming TV show? It's great. I have not.
It's good. It's a little inaccurate in terms of how he was as a person. I mean, he was a horrible human being in many ways, but I do like it.
Jasper says, do you guys play the older 007 games like 007 Everything or Nothing? No, I personally haven't. I play GoldenEye, which is the most popular one out of everything.
Which finally, that was like Jesus has risen and come again when they announced that they're making that game, they're remastering.
Yeah.
I cried.
I can't wait. I think I might get it on my Switch. I'm not sure. All right. So, Beau, welcome.
This is the part where I have to be like, okay, these are all the landmines that Marvel told me I cannot say, and that they will kill me if I speak about these.
Is there like a sniper right now outside your window that's watching you?
Actually, much like Spectre, when I got the job, they sent me to a dentist, and I think my back molar contains a activated cyanide capsule that as soon as I say something bad, it breaks open and I die.
That's it. You're done.
We've grown fond of you already, so we don't want to activate that capsule. So let's We'll avoid that.
I might with some X-Men questions. So I don't know.
Well, we're definitely gonna get some extra questions. So before we get into some X-Men 97, tell us a little about yourself. Like,
Yeah.
where you started, how you got into this,
And okay, well,
and what do you collect as well?
What do I collect? I think I mean, you
We know, but the people don't know.
Tell the people that
literally you asked like a bunch of questions that are actually very big and expansive. So, we'll take it one by one. A man loved a woman, and they lied together, and then he got this. No. So yeah, I'm from Florida. Grew up in Orlando, and literally like X-Men. It's cheesy, and the more people get to know me, like everybody who joined the show when we interview them, it's always like, oh, we all love X-Men. You're like, okay, do you really? But literally, like, I grew up in the South. I was adopted, so like, just the idea of like Xavier as this kind of ultimate blindside Sandra Bullock character who's just going to take in all the kids was always kind of how I grew up. My sisters are from South Korea. My parents are Irish Italian from Staten Island. So I just remember, like, even when I was a kid, when I first saw that show when I was 10, dating myself, it was like, oh, this kind of makes sense, because like I grew up in a mainly white town, and so like the idea of having people who didn't look like me but trying to have to connect and build a relationship with them, it was just like, oh, this is like literally what I'm struggling with, which is like, oh, you don't have to look like me or be from where I am to understand like who I am. And literally, like I can honestly say, like, X-Men has been with me, oddly enough, my entire life since then. So then, but actually never thought about actually getting into comics or writing in terms of professionally. I was always drawing and writing as a kid, much to my mom's tired eyes, but she was very supportive of it. But she was always like, what am I reading now? Like, what is this comic book about? But I did have a love of story. Like, actually, when I got this job, my mom was actually laughing because she's like, I would literally play with my action figures from X-Men when I was a kid, like maybe 12 or 13, 14. I don't know. Let's be real. I was probably playing when I was 18. And
Well, we were all playing at that point in time. We were still playing.
It was like, I would stop to go to dinner and then come back after dinner. She's like, and you would pick up on the same storyline that you had crafted. She's like, and you would do it for like a week. And there would be this elaborate storyline that you're always, so like, it was kind of there that I wanted to tell stories, but I was also like big in the history, really big in the history and like kind of global affairs. So like I first went, my bachelor's, I was like, oh, I'm going to be a historian. I'm going to be a teacher. I actually started the process to join the NSA as an analyst. Oh, wow. And there was a kind of recruitment thing they do at the colleges. And they were like, it was like a work-life balance. Before that was a term that we all talked about and still don't follow. It just makes us feel good to talk about work-life balance. And it was basically like the Mission Impossible Tom Cruise scenario, where even as an analyst who's coming in and just like, hey, it looks like this wedding could be a good place to bomb today. You can't go home and talk to your partner or your kids about it. You can't even tell people really what you work. And I had just come out of the closet to my family, and it was just like, am I just swapping a different closet where I'm just gonna have to like continually not be able to tell anybody what I'm doing? And so I had minored in creative writing, and I had written an X-Men script based. It was a sequel to X-Men 1. That was the first screenplay I ever wrote. I picked up a copy of Screenwriting for Dummies at Barnes & Noble or Borders in Oviedo, Florida. And I wrote the most horrible screenplay that has probably ever been committed to paper. And but I knew
still better than Dark Phoenix. Sorry, just
damn.
Disney didn't make it. We can say it. Disney didn't make it. We can say it.
That's true.
But the thing is, I'm sorry, real quick. When you say that, it makes me think about like with Family Guy with Peter Griffin. He's like, I'm going to start writing my Superman script. Make way for Superman, says Superman.
To my credit, my mom kept it, and she actually sent it to me because I printed it up, literally on the paper with the whole. You pull the like that kind of a printer, and it's not. I mean, look, it has potential. The formatting is god awful. It is literally like slug line. Everything that happens, like of screenwriting for dummies for formatting. And then was just like, fuck it. Like it was really bad. But yeah, so then I went to FSU for film and TV and their writing program, which was friggin' amazing. Such a great program. And then after I graduated, oddly enough, I cold called Marvel Studios, and I was like, I just want to intern. Like, don't pay me, don't need to do anything. Just let me what do I need to do? Because I wanted to write comic book movies or action movies in genre and all that. And they got me an internship, let me do an internship. It was amazing. Brad Winterbaum, who's now the head of streaming for Marvel and Disney Plus, and my current executive producer on X-Men. I used to deliver his mail when he was an assistant there. So actually, I met a lot of the people that I deal with today as peers creatively. I met as an intern there. And from there, just continued going through the ranks, was a creative executive at Disney for a little bit, then wrote on Vampire Diaries and Originals, and then Witcher, and then Moon Knight, and off of that, and Strange New Worlds, and then obviously X-Men 97. So that's that career path of craziness. And then what I collect is pretty much everything, like toys, comics less nowadays, actually, I will say that. I don't believe in having a priceless comic and just staring at it. It feels weird to me. Like I want to open it and tactile touch it. Like that's how I actually interpret information. But yeah, I would say action figures are the big thing right now. And now Etsy is this whole new world of custom made stuff that you do not need. You do not need it. There's absolutely no reason that I have a standee for Moon Knight that's just really cheap to look at. But you know what? It was 2 a.m. I needed some retail therapy, and I was like, done. So that's the stuff I really actually collect the most.
Awesome. Well, we got a couple questions here. First, we got super chat here. Thank you very much, Kevin Johnson. It says, give me a shout out to Beau. Keep up the excellent work. KJ-MFA08.
I love Kevin. We went to FSU together. Super sweet guy.
Okay. I was like, maybe we got a new watcher. I don't know who this person is. They know you, but I don't know. I was like, oh man. Well, hopefully, Kevin, you'll stay for our other episodes that we have, craziness, little wildness that we have.
Sounds a good
Greg says, Beau, so what are 3 of your favorite X-Men comic arcs? Not top 3, but 3 of your favorites.
I want to know.
Thank you for giving me that out because okay. This is one of those questions. This has landmines in it.
Oh. Here we go.
Let's reconfigure here. 1, Dark Phoenix. I mean, who doesn't like that? I've never met a person who. It's like people who say they don't like Disney. If you tell me you don't like Disney, you're like, ooh, you don't have a soul.
I honestly don't like it as much as others. Like there are stories that I'll pick way over Dark Phoenix. Yeah. But keep going.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. I agree. Okay. But I'm a Jean guy all the way.
Yeah.
And so
okay.
And I love that Jean makes it all about her all the time. One of my favorite moments in X-Men the animated series is the second time they get married. Or is it the first time they get married? And Wolverine's like, he's having all his I'm entitled to Jean's love, even though she has her own choice. And it's kind of creepy that I'm being this way and not respecting her boundaries. And then Jean senses him. She's like, oh my gosh, she's having such a hard time with this. And then cut to the wedding, and there's the priest who's Morph gives the Robert Frost poem. Mm-hmm. And then Jean just comes up and is like, I wish everyone can be as happy as me. And you're just like, this is why everybody hates you sometimes. Rogue's over there, and she's never been touched. Wolverine is over there, crying his heart out. Storm's best option is going to be a slave master on an alien world. And you're over here going oh, Scott, we're so cute and great and perfect. Almost as great as Jean going, that man Cable is more important to our future than I could ever say. And then just never telling about it.
Not a thing. Not a thing.
That's why
Thanks,
Bishop came with that
Gene.
Jerry curl. He was like, "Yo, man, I'm tired. Yo,
I'm tired of this shit.
If you ask my friends, and I will be self-deprecating, there's a lot of gene. I have a lot of gene traits. So I would definitely say Dark Phoenix Saga is absolutely one of my favorites. I am a big fan, as I think everyone is, of just X-Men #1. Like, it's just a cool, simple story of just like, and it has the soap opera of like, Moira's got a secret, because Moira always has a secret. It's not Proteus. It's now, oh, I turned him into a baby and advancedly freaked with his DNA. I just loved that. I loved everything about that. That arc. God Love Man Kills.
Yeah, boy.
that is a good one."
Hold up. I think I can do that. Yeah.
That would be the one. That would be the one.
Got the original here.
Yeah, that would be the one that probably tops Dark Phoenix Saga.
Yeah.
The only reason I don't like go to it first is because like it's kind of like the Requiem of a Dream of the X-Men. It's like it's a mood. It's a mood. And when you read it, there's not a lot of hope in it. And there's not a lot of like it's a hard story. And then this is gonna be controversial. This is gonna be controversial. I was actually kind of a fan of Extreme X-Men.
That's the one where they're looking for Destiny's.
I like the whole idea of Destiny's Diaries. I thought Vargas was kind of cool, and they put a big highlight on Psylocke, who was one of my faves. And like her rivalry with Vargas was really cool in a way. I like Storm leading the team, and like the costumes. I mean, look, we can all have our classic costumes, but I love a good costume change. It's why I like spend 30 minutes on the RPG character creator more than I play the actual damn game. Like you should see me play a Tomb Raider game. It's kind. I've had friends be like, "We're not gonna watch you do this," because I'm sitting there going like, "Okay, she's going into the Mexican forests, so a bathing suit, not the wisest thing. So, but then she wears combo pants, it's gonna get hot." Like I think about this shit when I'm playing a video game.
That's amazing.
So, but like I love it, and I like the costumes. They were different. They were, I don't know. I have a soft spot for that series. But yeah, those would be like my top 3 or 4. Well, not top 3 or 4. My top 3, I'm not mentioning purposely.
Gotcha. I understand.
Okay.
Greg has one last question. He says, "Beau, who is your favorite Michelson?"
Originals question. Take me back in the day. 2, Freya. She was the black sheep, and then Klaus. Because like Klaus, I was the baby of my family. I'm better than all of them.
Jasper says, "Beau, are you looking for a mentee?"
Oh, Jasper, I think he set me up a.
Mentee.
I want to mentee people. I do have 2 mentees right now, and like, quite frankly, like my big philosophy on the show is that whoever we hire as writers' assistants, and whoever I hire as my assistant, my goal is not to keep them in that job longer than a year. Is to mentee them to start doing the job I'm doing eventually. So yes, always looking for one. It's just hard. I will be honest, like right now, like I don't know if my eyes are showing it. I barely sleep more than 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours a night right now. My life is a little chaotic.
I can tell because on your Instagram, I'm like, "That like this man done popped from California." Like, wait a minute, now he was just in California. Just wait a minute, hold up. Something, this map's not adding up.
Jeez.
Yeah,
but no, you are a busy man. You are very, very busy, and I take my hats off to you because I don't know if I can do that.
It's what do they call it? Champagne problems, first world problems. It's the thing is I have great friends who actually really have a great family, and honestly, like Marvel is a great company. It feels weird to call them a company. They're just a great place to work. They're very supportive. And I'm not just saying that and drinking the.
Oh, no! You see what happens when you're talking about Marvel? You're talking too much.
Cut them out.
Don't tell them when they're nice.
That's what they do.
Shut down.
What did I say? Where did you lose me?
You say Marvel's. You're just not saying that Marvel's a great place, but it's
a great place. And honestly, like, look, I look at it this way. I know this is gonna sound really cheesy. Like, I do think like X-Men, I would not be who I am without that show. I think for a lot of people. Like I was this like weird gay brown mixed race thing in this Southern Baptist white community that it was horrible. And like I told when I first met Eric and Julia, I said like that was a life raft. Your show was an absolute life raft to me. Like, and so it's hard to like be like, oh, I'm not getting enough sleep, when I'm hoping what we're doing is continuing what they did, is just tell a story that tells people. And it's not just race and sexuality or wokeness as I kind of see people talk about online. It's just like there's not a person on the face of this planet who has not walked into a room and gone, do I belong here? Like, do I belong here? Does anybody in this room understand me? Am I the only one that feels this way? Am I the only one who has these fears? And to be able to tell a story that lets people go like, no, everybody feels that way sometimes, and this is how you get through it. Like that, and everybody on the show, from Jake Castorina, who's my supervising director, Sean Ganka, who's my line producer, our directors, Emmy and Chase, like we all come at it from this place of like, this show in many ways saved our lives, or at least gave us purpose and focus and told us there was a school out there, whatever your community is. And so we're just trying to pay it forward. So it's like, you know, I'm freaking blessed and so lucky to be doing what I'm doing. That, you know, complaining about lack of sleep, although my exes would probably say that they would prefer a nicer person sometimes, because I can get pretty grumpy when I have no sleep. It's a small price, honestly, to pay.
So, Beau, I actually have a question for you that kind of ties into something you brought up earlier, I think before we were live.
Yeah.
We were, and you just kind of touched upon it a moment ago, actually. So obviously the original show was more or less geared towards children, you know, with a lot of adult content, different concepts, you know, intertwined into it to kind of help bring along younger generation, be more tolerant and things like that. My question to you is, with the tone of the new show picking up or left off, are you taking more of an approach of you are looking to write it more for our generation now, or are you still going to be trying to interweave things into that for the younger generation, as the original show did too?
That's a good question. Oh my gosh, I just felt like a pageant person. That's a good question.
I'm sorry.
That's a good question. I really like the idea. And then you repeat the question, and by repeating the question, you give yourself time. Everybody's seen Miss Congeniality, I assume. But that is the trick of the show. You know, the joke we make on the show is that it is quite like the exhaust. I'm not, okay, look, I like Star Wars. I'm not the biggest Star Wars person. I am a Trekkie. So everybody like deal with that as you may. There are some people, like literally I had one of my directors was like, you don't like Star Wars? I'm like, that's not, I don't like it. I like Star Trek better. And I literally thought Jake was going to quit at one point. He was like, how do you not like Star Wars? I'm like, I didn't say I didn't like it, Jake. Meanwhile, he's got like, I'm like, look, can we move on, please? But it is the Death Star narrow portal. Like the voice and tone of what we're trying to do is so specific because on one level, it is meant for us. And it's meant for us to all take pause and ask, like, how have we changed as people? Like, what is growing up? Like, literally, we had a view of the world in the 90s, and now all of us grew up and, like, got old. Like, it sucks. Yeah. And it kind of talks about that nostalgia and that wistfulness, but it's absolutely inviting. But part of that fun is the kid aspect. It is that this show is meant for kids. And I think what the Leewalds did so well is like, it's you put the medicine in the sugar. Like the message was in the fun. It was, oh my gosh, Jean is in a wedding dress at the axis of time and the apocalypse is monologuing. And yet there's all these other like, soap opera elements about love and betrayal and loyalty that are factoring into that adults can appreciate. I think that's why the Dark Phoenix saga in many ways people really resonate with, because on one level, you are watching just this sprawling, incomprehensible, let's be honest, space opera. Mm-hmm. Where like you're just like, whoa, especially in the cartoon, like Lalandra shows up and she's got her Hot Topic wear on, and she's like, Charles, have you ever believed that two minds can be linked from birth? And he's like, yes, I do. And they're in love. And we're like, yes. And then suddenly Jean's coming out. It's ridiculous. Only a kid could actually find that, like. But at the same time, you're talking about Jean is dealing with what does it mean to be a survivor? what does it mean to be an addict? Or even if it's not that, it's like, what is that day where you're just like, I'm tired of being the freaking Boy Scout, and I just want to kind of indulge my dark side. I want to go party. I want to go drink or anything else you want to do. Like, we all have that. And so that's for the adults. That's just like a universal thing. So the show, in my hope is that we're doing the same, but with some angles and views on stuff that are, like, I'm a big believer in just like the moment I start preaching my views through characters' mouths, it's like, oh my gosh, they're talking like Beau's, Twitter feed. But if I can get people like pissed off enough to argue about what the characters are doing in the episode, which I think that is the key to X-Men. It's the hardest thing to do with X-Men. Like Avengers Civil War, I think why people like that. It was the first time that you're watching the Avengers and you're like, holy fuck, I don't know who to believe or who to trust. That is all X-Men great stories. Is that the team it's a family that never sees eye to eye on everything, and you have to make everyone likable. And you have to make everybody go like, even if Storm's like, I don't know if we should save Jean. You want us not to go like, oh wow, Storm, like harsh, And so I think that's the big one for me is like getting it so that people watch this show and what we're talking about and the things that and I'm not just politics and racial stuff, just the relationships that we see both sides, and we kind of go like, ooh, what would I do if I was in their situation? Versus being like, that person's wrong for feeling that way.
Yeah. And you talking about that, it makes me think about like the Silver Surfer show was like that. Silver Surfer was super deep. Like for a kid's show, it was deep. Like you had to be sitting there, like as a kid, I'm like sitting there thinking, like, I don't know what this man's philosophically talking about. Like I'm not on that level yet. Like, and he's monologuing the whole time, and you're just like, Surfer, man, like there's too much to be thinking about on Saturday morning.
I'm 8. Dog, I'm just trying to.
I just want to have some Lucky Charms and and now you got me thinking about this existential
stuff, bro. I'm not trying to think right now.
Silver Surfer is just a tragic character, period.
Yeah, and then you're sitting there like, man, and then after that it's like wrestling. Like I don't feel like watching no wrestling.
Right. They'd always put Silver Surfer at like 11:30 to just bring you down enough. After all that sugar, they're like, no, we're gonna impress these kids.
Yeah, we got you, parents. We got you.
I'm enslaved to an intergalactic being that wants to eat worlds, and I am alone. Oh, great. This is awesome. This is cheery. I feel great.
Hey, Tim, you feel like playing outside? No, Mom, I'm just going to go lie down.
I got things to think about.
I need to lie down, Mom. I need to have a cry. I need to have a good cry.
Jasper asked, Tim, is that a Blue Beetle Funko Pop on your shelf?
I was just trying to think about it without, I don't want to turn around and be rude while we're talking, but I don't think so, Jasper. If you're alluding to this right here, that is a Madame Leota, a Haunted Mansion pop, which will be added to my living room probably tomorrow when I put out all mine and my girlfriend's Haunted Mansion stuff out there for our Halloween display. So, and shout out to her, and she's watching. Beau, she's actually in Orlando right now. She's a huge Disney fan, her and her family, and they had a trip booked to do all the Halloween stuff. So they fought the hurricane, got down there before it, and they hung around for it. So they went to Epcot today for 40th anniversary, so they're okay. They made it. It's good.
There you go.
That makes
That's the most important.
So happy to hear that they got down there, because honestly, if anybody's never been to Disney World Orlando, like it is what it is. Like it is the magical place they say it is. It's worth going. Everyone should go once in their life. It is. Is she just having? Is this their first time going there?
I will say the answer is no to that. We actually have an inside joke that she might be voted mayor pretty soon down there at Disney.
Yeah, she Disney mayor?
Oh, she like knows the staff.
Her and her mother. Here we are off the tracks. I took us right off the tracks as always. I'm sorry. No, her and her mother are DVC members, and they have annual the season passes or whatever. They're season pass holders, so they go down probably a bunch of times a year to hang out. So.
Wow.
This trip was supposed to be for the Halloween stuff. Obviously, Mother Nature had something else in mind, but they made the best of it and they had a good time. So they're still
as long as they had a good time, and like that's Florida for you. It's always going to have a hurricane or an alligator.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be funny. I haven't been to Disney World since 1985.
I've never been to Disney World. What do you mean?
Oh well, yeah. I'm sorry. So it's funny because the last thing I remember seeing was Michael Jackson's Captain EO in the Epcot Center, and that's old.
You saw
for anybody who's been
wow.
Yes, I remember having my little 3D glasses on, me being a little kid in the little theater, and this theater was huge.
Oh, yeah.
Like it wasn't a little small theater. This was a huge theater that they had back in the day.
Yeah,
where when nobody was thinking about COVID and anything, they'd be like, "Oh man, like everybody's cool, put together." We had a little 3D glasses on. Me being a little dark Joker Zip, like, look at all this cool stuff. Oh man, this Disney World. Had breakfast with my mom. Made sure that we had breakfast with the characters. She was like, "Yeah, we had breakfast." I was like, "Yo," whole time I was down there, didn't see Mickey. I'm like, "This man, I come down there, and this man don't even show up." I was hot,
Mickey. Wow, Mickey Mouse.
But I see my boy Goofy.
Do a Mickey Mouse voice and not sound like a predator.
Exactly.
Right?
Yo, I did see my boy Goofy. Goofy made it all possible. Like he made it worthwhile. So I see him Goofy. I was like, all right, I'm cool. I see my boy Goofy. See my boy Donald. I'm good. Like, yeah, okay, we're cool.
Okay, my buddy who got me that Lego, he continues, even though he knows I'm on here right now, is continuing to text me asking me what he should eat for dinner. Do we have anybody want to weigh in on what my friend should eat for dinner so he'll leave me alone?
Smoked meat sandwich.
So it depends. Hold on, what state is he in? Is he on East Coast?
Oh, I know where Dante's going with this.
Los Angeles. Let's crowdsource.
Los Angeles. Okay. All right.
LA?
So I don't know because on the East Coast we got a supermarket called Acme, and they got some best.
Stop with the Acme! Stop pumping Acme!
They knew it.
Acme's got some great
they
chicken.
pay you, man. They pay you to do this.
Yo, I'm waiting for them to pay me. I'm waiting for them to come and say, "Hey."
I'm looking this up right now. I've never heard of this.
No, the last time he dropped
Acme
it, I asked
supermarket?
the same thing. Acme. It's the thing.
Oh,
Acme supermarket.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's like a Publix or something like that.
Yeah. Wiley Coyote shops there. Yes.
Okay. Let me see.
So
here.
they hit you.
I mean, that logo for Acme, like really?
Yo,
Right? They could have done it so much better.
Like
This is the
it's
thing.
literally like just we'll bold and make it red.
Right. But the thing is, this is a crazy part. So when you go into an Acme supermarket, for all my East Coasters who live on the East Coast, been to an Acme, you don't go in you going for chicken. You're just like, I'm here to shop for some food, like any regular supermarket. But they had the hot food section so close to the door that chicken smell just hits you in the face. It's like that little that lofting wave smell, and it's like grabs you by the nose, like tickles your nose. I'm like, no. And you start shopping around, you're like, man, I'm hungry.
I mean,
I think I will go get some chicken.
Like,
I will go back and get that chicken.
You understand, like that's the trap. You walk in,
Yes.
there's the chicken thing, and you get hit, and that activates your hunger. Then you go into the aisles, and you're like, oh, I need double stuffed Oreos. I need these things. And then you're sitting at 2 a.m. in the morning feeling bad about yourself watching cartoons and regretting all of your life choices.
Exactly.
I feel like
that's
this
what
is
they
familiar
do. Their chicken's
territory.
great. But it's worthwhile because the chicken's good. You're not leaving not satisfied.
Okay, this is actually a good question. What is your nighttime cartoon snack?
Okay, cookies and milk, obviously, but not Oreo cookies. I'm talking about I'm in Canada, so we have Great Value, and that's our store brand Oreos. They still have trans fats. These things are fantastic. They actually melt in the milk. Oreos today take about minute 15 to actually get soggy. These joints, 30 seconds are good. Pop it in the milk, boom, chewy, good, great.
So if I was a kid, it would be oatmeal. Flavored oatmeal from Quaker Oats oatmeal. Yo, I love me some oatmeal. I do. Look, that's my snack. That's my jam.
You gonna say that?
Like,
Rich? You've been robbing bears lately? What are you
doing? Dude, have you not had peaches and cream, strawberries and cream, apple
exactly?
Honestly,
and the best cinnamon and spice.
Yes,
haven't had those, so no.
You're over there in Canada.
Yeah,
with your trans fats.
Here we go.
And your soggy cookies.
Yep, but no oatmeal. And we got the Quaker Oats too. My girl just bought some. So
here in our 18th century Jane Austen novel, having porridge, watching cartoons.
Exactly. So you know what? And this is what I'm telling you what's really sold me on it. When Wilford Brimley, for all those who are old enough to remember Wilford Brimley, he sold some oatmeal and got you the diabetes, okay? He got you some diabetes.
Super
Wilford
sugary
Brimley,
oatmeal.
yes. Wilford Brimley, not only was he in The Thing, not only was he had his own TV show, I forget what TV show he was in, but he sold some oatmeal and taught you about some diabetes.
Yo, check
He was the
Kevin's
man
comment.
he was a Renaissance man.
Yes. Well, now I'm back on kind of this side here. You kind of went too far there.
Yes.
Look, Wilford Brimley was the man. Like he sold some oatmeal. He's like you thought he was the Quaker Oats man himself. Wilford Brimley, you thought you'd be like, yo, you see him in commercial, like, yeah, I got my Quaker Oats oatmeal here. And it's great. Love me some Quaker Oats. I'm like, man, you know what I can go for? Some oatmeal. My mom would let me make it. She showed me how to do it. She was like, go ahead, boy. Just go ahead and make it. I don't care. And she knew. She knew.
Tim is just shaking his head here. He probably has the most shameful one.
No, I don't know. Okay, we off the tracks. Here I am. I don't know why, but I love Dante's. But in my head, I'm like imagining Jerry Seinfeld doing the same rant. Like, what's the deal with oats? What's the deal? Like, why am I wearing this puffy shirt? I don't want to be a pirate. Like, I don't know why.
You sew them? What?
Yeah, I don't know what goes on in here sometimes, and that's just kind of where my brain went just now.
Diabetes.
I still oatmeal to this day. I love a good wake up, get some oatmeal, overnight oats, cold oats, like that. A little like, do they make you overnight oats?
Overnight oats are good. Those I've had made for those are all right. I mean, yeah.
What's
all
that?
right. All right. Okay, that's all right.
No, I mean
What's
they're
overnight?
good. They're good. Like when you need to be tied over. I mean, like trust me, as a new parent, you need those overnight oats sometimes. I don't know about the super sugary overnight oats. Bo,
Yeah.
please tell the man.
So this is what you do. I'll do my Black Martha Stewart moment.
Let's go.
Basically, the best way to do it is to get some sort of a small mason jar. You fill it up with a amount of oats that you find, to be of your desire and your amount that you like, and you use your milk of choice, and then kind of put like what I do is I usually do milk, oatmeal, some peanut butter, and then bananas and cinnamon. You do it the night before. You screw the mason jar on, and then you put it in the refrigerator overnight, and it just soaks up all the flavors, just marinate together overnight, and then you eat the next morning. It's like this nice cold sweet dish that'll wake you up.
Fantastic.
No, I don't want cold oatmeal.
What do you mean you don't want cold oatmeal?
Nah, I don't.
That's where you get bougie? That's your point?
Yes.
My man's talking about Acme grocery stores, and your turning point is all right. Okay. All right.
Then okay, but you eat cereal. Okay, moving on. I can't anymore.
Greg said so. Mr. Joe said, "I've never left Texas." Wow. Bart says, "I've never been there and no desires to go to Disney World." Greg says, "Never been to Disney World, only ever Disneyland once." And yes, that MJ was there at the time. Yeah, Greg, we're old, so we know what it's like. Stride says, "I've never been to Disney World since I was 8 or 9 years old. Welcome to the club." Stride says, "Goofy is the man."
Has anybody ever been on those the Disney cruises as kids?
As a kid, no. But my fiance used to work for the Disney Magic and was to and from here in Florida all the time. And yeah, this is a wild little tangent. I tried to get into her head and be like, okay, so what's Chip and Dale like? And she's like, like, where do they sleep? In a tree. No, but like they're on the boat with you. She's like, no, but they sleep in a tree. From like day one, they get you. And they're like, you're not going to spoil this for nobody. You're under this Disney thing. So you just keep that. And I was like, all right. Okay. So
it's terrifying, to be honest.
Yeah.
With those kids. Like looking back at it, like I was unsettled as a kid the entire time. And now I'm actually sitting here thinking like, that's a really badass horror movie. Is like all of the cast members actually turn on the crew finally. But like, yeah, you're stuck on a boat in the middle of nowhere with the big animals. It's just weird.
I'm glad you mentioned that because there is a movie that's like that. So everybody remembers what's that TV show with
Breaker High?
No, it was they were like they were in costumes, but there was like a morning 70s like kind of like live action, like it was like almost like HR Puff and stuff, but I forget what it's called. The Banana Splits. The Banana Splits.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yes.
For real.
There's a horror movie. So there's a horror movie called The Banana Splits, and they're animatronics. They're hunting down the people that are in the building with them.
No.
It's also a movie that just came out with Nick Cage that had a very similar, like.
Yes, I know which one you're talking about. Yes.
Creatures killing people in costumes.
Yes.
We're gonna kill if we don't talk about X-Men more. Now we're talking about Nick Cage. We can not away from X-Men right now.
All right. I got a little quickie. If you can answer this. Storm. When they first announced 97, our lovely Aurora had her long white locks. And then recently they showed a preview of the show, and she had her very lovely mohawk that she sported very much in the 80s. Is there a reason? Can you answer that? Is this just like, hey, we like this and now we like this? Tell me more.
Yeah, it was a choice. It wasn't just like, it wasn't made out of boredom. It was a choice made out of how these characters may have changed since we last saw them. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
It was a choice.
Okay.
Greg asks, Beau, maybe you can't say but are any of the Fave Mutants intro since like the 04 to now making a cameo appearance if not used for the plot?
Okay, so
like my man on the back screen of yours?
Maybe you can't say the Fave Mutants intro since. I can't say.
Oh.
Ooh. Oh,
which is actually kind of an answer in itself, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Don. Let's go ahead, Dante. Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead, Tim.
I was going to say, I just got a dart in my brain here. So not so much the same lines, but it got me thinking. Will the new show reference events that occurred in the previous seasons of the show?
I mean, we, like you've heard, I think something that people love about X-Men is the continuity, right? It's not the show restarts every episode, especially X-Men the Animated Series. I would actually say that was the most, that and Gargoyles were the two shows, but even Gargoyles, they hit that reset button every once in a while. But where you were just like, wow, this is like serialized storytelling. This is not episodic at any means. But so we do continue that this is not an episodic show. And so we are building on what these characters have experienced between 1992 and 1997.
Thank you.
Nice. So we'll be looking at more like overarching stories, like from episode to episode. So maybe like, for example, like 3 to 4 episodes would be like one full story, and then the next set of episodes would be like another overarching story, or is it going to be like one kind of how like you're planting the seeds throughout the season for that overarching story at the end of the season?
I mean, without getting into too many details, it is the thing, and this isn't a dodge. It's doing what like really the Leewalds did, especially those first 3 seasons, I would say, where you would have those one-off episodes, right? Where Wolverine decided to go chill with Eskimos for some reason. Which I quite like that episode, but you watch
that episode's fire. Yeah,
it's fun. It's just like you hate the one guy in that. Who is he?
Oh, who hates him for no reason? Yeah,
Tuck.
Tuck. Yeah.
Yeah. Why do I remember that? That's the stamp. I remember that name.
Like you just really want. Like I was rooting for Sabretooth. I was
just destroy their village.
Get rid of him.
That's great.
Like, just Wolverine, what are you doing? This is stretching your nobility thing. Like, just let him go. But it is very much in the vein of those first 3 seasons.
Greg says Aurora's nephew, the speedster Shadow King, was after. Does he show up? Mignari, I think, was the name. The episode was always enjoyable.
I do remember him, but I hate. That's one of my least favorites.
Really?
Yeah, that some of the side offs were like great, and then out of all the X-Men, going back and reading X-Men stories and knowing what they had and what they chose. Some of them I was just like, that was a weird choice. And to me, I was just like, I didn't need. That was what part two? Yeah, there was 2 part of that episode.
That's with Guy Rock.
Yes,
Well, I like that episode. Garrett was pretty cool.
He was cool. I just didn't really love it. I was just like, okay, all right.
No, I get people's, but like that's the thing is like if you're doing your job right, like I'm a big believer. If everyone loves every single episode of a show you're writing, then you're kind of that guy. Like you're doing the thing where you're like, we're gonna make the car that everybody loves. It's pink for women. It's got a spoiler for men. It's like, and you actually end up with something that no one likes. And so I do think there are some episodes where you're like, oh, well, that was clearly for like the people who love that type of X-Men.
Yeah.
And like love that type of that, you know. And I definitely have a couple episodes which I will never name. That I'm just like, that episode was not ready for me.
I think it was maybe the season 3 premiere or season 4 premiere, whichever episode that was very blatantly just like Nightcrawler, and I screamed because Nightcrawler was my favorite, and I'm just like, they're never going to show this guy on the show. I'm never going to get this guy, never ever. And then when they showed Nightcrawler, I was just like, my goodness, finally, that was it for me. So I'm just saying, I hope to see my boy again because Kurt Wagner is my dude, but I'm just
well, you'll find out.
He's gonna be preaching the gospel to the X-Men.
Right?
X-Men.
I know. I will tell you that Kurt is also a favorite. He's just the guy with the beautiful soul, right?
Yeah.
He's got the most
Mr.
X-Men.
Mr. Jones says, Beau, check your Instagram messages, and as you too, Action Figgy, check your Instagram messages as well.
All right, yes.
Jasper asks, besides the original X-Men cartoon, which is everyone's favorite show? X-Men Evolution, Wolverine X-Men, or any other X-Men show? I wish you guys answer this one first because I'm divided a little bit.
Why?
Okay.
Go, you go.
Yeah.
Oh, this is like so many of these questions are traps.
Well, it's just like, what's your favorite show? Is that like, hey, is so and so showing up this season? Hey.
Yeah, right. Which was everyone's favorite show?
Like this is the thing. If I don't love what someone loves, then they're like, oh, this show's gonna suck if he doesn't like this. Like, I don't know if you guys saw it. I made a comment about not being a massive fan of Emma's and Scott's relationship on Twitter, which it started this whole thing of like he hates X-Men and he hates everyone. Well, I was just like, no, I just don't like what their relationship. I thought they made each other better people, quite frankly.
Yeah.
You know, X-Men, I like them all for different reasons. Like, and that's not it. It's very much like Batman. If you are a true Batman fan, here we go. Got to go for a fight. You gotta like all Batman. Like you gotta make way for all the different interpretations because they all have something beautiful to offer. Adam West has just as much to offer us as Burton's does, as much as Matt Reeves' version, even Grant Morrison's Zer-Hur-Law, whatever that is. Like Batman is so he's just so adaptable in that way. And I think X-Men's kind of the same way where it's like you gotta like, except for Dark Phoenix, you gotta like all of it in some way, or at least see what it offers. So like X-Men Evolution, I really, really love the Apocalypse episodes. Like the way they did Apocalypse, I thought, and that they made Mesmero really terrifying. I thought was really dope. And I like the swings they took with the high school. Not all of them. I like the Buffy aspect of it, but I liked aspects there. I'm never gonna be a huge fan of an X-Men that is so Wolverine focused, which is why a lot of the Wolverine, the X-Men, and even X-Men Evolution, that Wolverine is the cure to everybody's problem all the time, especially tactically, will always bother me. Because he's a cool character, absolutely. But I don't know why Storm's a freaking goddess. She doesn't need Wolverine to help her. Jean literally is probably the most powerful member on the team. She doesn't need Wolverine the same. Cyclops can punch a hole through a mountain with a blink. He does not need Wolverine. So some of the cartoons that were spurred by the Fox movies, obviously, they leaned hard into the Wolverine aspect of it. And so those movies, it's hard for me to get past those sometimes, honestly. But Wolverine and the X-Men, like I did like kind of the sprawling serialized story they told. There's aspects of X-Men, the anime, that I actually quite like. Namely that it did take the focus away from Wolverine, actually, and put it on Emma Frost in a really cool way. And Armor is my girl. Like, I feel bad for Cecilia Reyes because like this girl came along and was like, "Hey, Cecilia, that's cool and all what you can do, but I can do it better." Right. But I'm trying to think of the other ones that came out after X-Men the animated series.
That was it. I think it was Evolution, Wolverine, and the X-Men.
The X-Men anime, and that was really it.
The X-Men, look, we don't count. I can't count that.
I mean, you can't count that, but yeah, it was
because that was just off the chain wild. Like that was some wild. that was when Marvel was like, "Look, we've done everything we can. Let's go to anime." Nah,
yes. I'm trying to think. I feel like we're missing one. No, we're not.
No, that's it.
And also, if anybody's ever seen Pride of the X-Men, it's really freaking good.
It is. Except for the voice acting, but it's actually really good. I like it.
So it's funny that you mentioned that because I did, and this is my era. I forgot we did have Larry Houston on with us when we had the Lee Walls on, and we asked about Pride of the X-Men, and I was like, the Australian Wolverine. He's like, look, he just
had the guy. Come on.
And yet, when the movies were made,
Australian.
Yeah, that happens. Funny how that happens.
You know, it's ironic that apparently Canada is not enough for Wolverine, and Australia is now the new native country of Wolverine.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. Pride of the X-Men. My sister. So it's funny because she called that her X-Men cartoon, despite it being only one episode. So she was just like, "Oh man, when I was a kid, I had the X-Men, and on my team we had Nightcrawler and Colossus." I'm like, "Who are you talking about? What are these people?" She's like, "Dazzler." I'm like, "What's a Dazzler? What do you?" And I'm like 8 years old. And I'm seeing the current cartoon. I was like, "Who are these people you're talking about? What's a Nightcrawler? I don't understand. Relax. You need to chill out." So then I finally see Pride of the X-Men. I'm just like, "Oh, this is pretty good. This is almost like not neck, but it's like it had the roster. I like that team roster." And just a 6 little compact team. That's what I need more of, and I like that a lot about it. That's why Wolverine and the X-Men I liked, but I don't know. I didn't really like the roster of the team there. And then X-Men Evolution, making the teams that they made teens, I found that great. But then as they lost me a little bit when how they were like bringing in certain characters and automatically signing them with Magneto, like Gambit, and he was on Magneto's side. I was like, okay,
I got a little weird.
Yeah, it got a little weird.
To be fair, though, even X-Men the Animated Series, much to their credit, I find, swapped out, like Bishop, obviously, is one of the biggest changes they made in the first season was that Kitty doesn't come back. It's Bishop that comes back. And then they folded in the X-Trader storyline into that. So I think there's room to do that. And absolutely you have to, actually, because we don't have 70 years or 60 years, 40 years, what's time, to tell the stories the way they were told in the comics. But you got to do it in a way that makes logical sense. The Gambit one was one of those that I was just like, I don't know if I understand the choice here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be on the opposite side of all this. I did enjoy Wolverine X-Men. I was at first, when it first came on, I was like, yeah, what is this nonsense? Like, this is not X-Men. Like, why is Wolverine leading the dang blasted team? That's how I was at first. I was like, yo, like, what is this nonsense? But then I sat there and started watching. I'm like, this is good. And then it ended with that cliffhanger. I was like, you got me again. So, X-Men Evolution was not my jam. I can say that wholeheartedly. I know people have fought me up and down on this. I did not like the ages of everybody being messed up. Wolverine, I can understand being the oldest. He's been around longer than everybody since whatever 1900s, whatever.
Right.
But the rest of the team, like Storm being older than everybody, like, come on now. Cyclops still in high school. Like, oh, really? Really? So that's why I was like, the really only X-Men shows I like was X-Men animated series and Wolverine and the X-Men.
Okay.
Those are the only ones I really enjoyed the most.
Anti-Storm. That's how she felt. She was like the auntie.
She was Auntie Storm.
No. I ain't got time for that. No
time for Auntie Storm.
No, I will say this without getting too much in trouble because we also have. I know people in the industry work on all these shows. X-Men Evolution is a very divisive topic, at least in the writers' room. on X. Yeah, there's our script coordinator Kendall is a unabashed fan. And I am not an unabashed fan of X-Men Evolution. I probably sit a little closer to you in terms of like I get it. Like, there's things I like about it, but it's just not. It's not my jam, especially coming off of X-Men the animated series. And so he and I often get in fights in the middle of the writers' room. But...
Like I told you, Toad's not in this episode. Get him out of here. I'm tired of
Get him out of here.
Yep. It happens often. Tim, where do you sit?
I agree with everybody in different capacities. No, that's it. No, Wolverine of the X-Men, I didn't watch till much later. In fact, it might have been on Disney Plus, to be honest. And I think in my own like brain, what I did was because of what they did with Xavier, I think I kind of like made the connection in my brain unofficially that this was kind of like a continuation of animated series. I know it wasn't, but dealing with what it'd be like to not have Xavier around. And them going through depression and dealing with the loss, you know? So
that's really cool. I never thought of it that way, but absolutely could be interpreted that way, can it?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I attacked it. But the real correct answer is the best X-Men animated show after animated series is all the guest appearances on Spider-Man. So
yeah.
Yeah.
That was it, but
that
it
was
was
an
weird.
awesome neogenic nightmare.
Yeah.
But it was weird that they had to change the voices for that, which was this weirdest things. I think most of them had changed. Like it wasn't all the original voices. I think originally for the X-Men on that one.
Yeah.
It was,
I mean, that Spidey joke is still my favorite. He makes fun of Storm. He's like, power of web.
Yeah.
Something he said, like he's mocking the fact that she announces all of her powers.
Yeah.
Such a good show. So good.
So good.
Let's see. Jasper says, yes, when Emma fought Shadow King. Mr. Jones says, I love the X-Men anime. I watched it again a few weeks ago. Probably X-Men is the gold standard for me and the arcade game that came from it.
Yeah.
I love that arcade
Everyone
game.
loves that game.
Everybody loves that game.
Strine says, the X-Men anime was not the full potential of the filter that is Japan, which is very true. Dragonite says, yeah, I watched Pride of X-Men forever until the first animated X-Men show came out. Woof.
That's a lot of rewatches.
Right.
That's a lot of rewatches. Oh boy.
Greg says with how important Wolverine was to the animated series, I have a feeling that Dakin or X-23 is going to feature somewhere.
Was that Greg?
Yes.
Greg is king of like.
Greg does that.
Stop it, Greg,
does
stop.
that.
He's king of like the spouse that won't just tell you the Christmas present they want, and they'll just passive aggressively be like, "It would be lovely to one day have a KitchenAid appliance."
That is great. Greg does that. He does that to me all the time. He gives me, he can do that. He can do it. He's good at that. I don't know how he does it, but he does it.
All I can do is go like, cool.
Strider says X-Men Evolution gave us X-23. Yeah.
Yes, it's true.
But I still don't like it.
Still.
Mr. Jones says the Cajun accents on that Gambit episode with the Thieves Guild always makes me chuckle being married to someone whose family is from Louisiana.
Yeah, talk about that for a while.
Grace says Brandon is going to have words with you over Evolution. Yeah, let Brandon have words from you over Evolution. I'll still stick my stand. I don't like Age of Apocalypse storyline, and I don't like X-Men Evolution.
You don't like the Age of Apocalypse?
You don't like Age of Apocalypse?
Hate Age of Apocalypse.
Why?
That's the one story I cannot stand. It's
You're not a fan of this?
It's going to take us of our podcast here. So why don't you like Age of Apocalypse?
Oh man,
let's go.
You may not, so everybody knows, but you may not. So I will refresh. Age of Apocalypse is one of those storylines I did not like as a kid. When I was reading it, I was like, this is trash. I don't like it. The art was kind of cool, but when I started picking the books, I was like, there's too many dang books to be reading for this. This is too much going on. I ain't got time for this. I'll just wait till they come back to being X-Men, hopefully sometime soon. Took too long, and I was like, all right, I just lost my friend, like disenfranchised with the X-Men at that point. Yeah. But my man Spider-Man was still kicking it until he got into that Clone Saga, and that's when I stopped messing with him too on that one. So yeah, and I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I love Spider-Man. Love most of every Spider-Man. But dag on it, when they came to that Clone Saga and Brand New Day, yeah, I just stopped messing with them for a while. I was like, nope,
You're
we're
a
done.
fickle lover over there.
I am. Look.
Okay.
I like what I like. Let's keep it simple. What is it? Kiss. Keep it simple.
Okay, so it's the complexity of Age of Apocalypse that you don't like.
That, and I didn't like the characters.
In terms of like, you didn't like the whole like Magneto, Rogue, Bishop.
Yeah, that I didn't like.
The Magneto Rogue did kind of bother me a little bit. Gambit got punked off real bad.
Wolverine having one arm. Like, why is this man got one arm? Like, who's going? Like, you can't regenerate your. You got healing powers. Regenerate the arm. Like, dude, come on.
It got into a really intense fight.
It makes sense. Yeah. It makes sense because what Apocalypse did, put adamantium over the arm, and you can't regrow that arm anymore. Has no place to go. To what is it? The thermodynamic BS thing that we were supposed to pay attention to, and like two objects cannot occupy the same space and time. I'm just saying. I think okay. I mean, I agree. Like, this is weird that you don't like Age of Apocalypse.
I am a big
I'll segue to asking everybody your favorite era of X-Men. Like going from like beginning to like where we are now to Krakoa. Like, just hit me. Favorite era. I'll go first with saying Silvestri's Outback X-Men. That's my jam.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That's my team and my jam. So like,
honestly, for me, and I think
I should put in a rule that you can't say Jim Lee's era. No, I'm kidding.
I was gonna say I do. I was gonna say that. The thing is, like, I do like Jim Lee era X-Men, but actually, I've fallen more in love with X-Men now during Jonathan Hickman's run of House of X, Powers of 10. Like, it's some
scrunchy faces.
Like the reason why I say that is because it's like, this is what we've been trying to build up to. Like, this is what we've been wanting. Like, we wanted mutants to be together, stand together, take that pride as being a mutant. And here they are living together, teaching the children, like, hey, this is what we had to go through and everything. Like, hey, it feels like a mutant civil rights. Like, so back in the day, we would fight these folks back at the hotel, this bus stop. They wouldn't let us ride the bus. They threw rocks at us. But thanks to Moira McTaggart coming from the future from a different past life and telling us how to live, we've now come together. Now understand, they still have dissension within the group, as always. Within the group, you're like, yeah, you know what? Look, I don't trust none of these fools up in this table. Quiet Council got some. Quiet Council, that's why it's quiet, because they're like, I don't trust nobody up in here.
Oh, man.
But it's still like, I like the basic X-Men team. Yes, I like the X-Men team that they have. I like the X-Force team because you're utilizing characters that weren't prominent before.
That's true.
Especially with the Resurrection. I would have never thought you're going to use Proteus, Gold Ball. Like, these are like D-list X-Men characters that nobody cared about.
I struggle with Hickman's run.
Really?
I struggle.
Do tell.
There are aspects I like about it a lot, and I'm quite a big fan of Hickman. It's one, the Crucible stuff just bothers me. It bothers me. Like, you're letting these people who were violated and had their powers stolen from them, step into a ring to get the powers back and face Apocalypse. It's that person's not in the right state of mind to make that choice. It just that was the issue where I was just like, and even though Nightcrawler was kind of issuing his and then like Storm is welcoming and presenting this, it just, I don't know, something about that. I was like, this does not feel like X-Men. This feels uncomfortable to me. I don't know. That Crucible thing is a big, like, I get really like, and then I also just, what I feel like they've abandoned is empathy in a way. And I get the pride that they're having, and like, who doesn't want to just say, like, you know what, fuck y'all, I don't want to prove myself to you, I don't want to prove my worth. But like, the question then you have to ask yourself is like, where does that lead? Like, where does that lead when you're basically saying we are gods, we're better than you, and like that allegory of being the outsider starts to fall apart for me a little bit, because if Black people started doing that and be like, we're better than all you, we're just here, like it would actually start to produce, like, I don't know. There's something about, I mean, I'm curious. I'm open-minded to see where he's taking it and to see if this is supposed to be an aspirational story or a parable about what not to do. But it's just, I get it's speaking to that era, especially after 2020, of just like, fuck it all. But I do worry, I think there's a reason that Xavier's face, that we don't see it anymore, is like you literally took the most empathetic, the bastion of empathy in the X-Men. You've now closed him off to us. And it feels like that's a little bit what's happened to the entire team, where it's like, I miss looking up to Beast. I don't look up to Beast anymore.
No,
like
you can't. No, he's messed up.
And so many of the X-Men that I grew up with, I don't look up to anymore because they've like decided to like dirty them up, and like I'm always going to go in for the aspirational hero. But that's just my take. It's just, there's a lot I love about it. But
you do get a little bit of that in X-Men Red, like in X-Men Red, where they're on Mars with Magneto and Storm and some of the other characters. Like you get a little bit of that empathy there, because they're almost like the outsiders of like Krakoa, because they're on Mars, and it's like, hey, we kind of do things a little bit different up here. And it's like, we're not part of Quiet Council, but we kind of like hang with them, but we keep I keep always messing up. Arakko in kind of in check. But Storm,
because they're all mega level mutants on Mars, right?
Right. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And Storm keeps everybody in check. Like this is a Storm I've been waiting for. She is she's like, don't you come here. Like she got in Vulcan's face. Like when you get in Vulcan's face and tell him to back the hell down, like, nah, you step off, son. She's like, you step off. You just step up. I'm king of what? Not around here. And then when she goes into that fight, like she's like, you know who I am? She's like Gladiator. She's like, is this your king?
No, and that suffers no fools. And like, I think this is like part of the problem too for me is, and Dom made a good point, which is like Magneto's whole deal was, we're better than you. And now they're all saying that, which one makes Magneto less special to me.
Yes.
It actually diminishes him in my opinion, but also I don't it's not coexistence. Like that's the dream. The dream is coexistence. And now the dream has become something else, but I'm not entirely sure what it is anymore. And they actually don't say what it is anymore. And so I do wonder, like, I don't know. I have a lot of we talk about it a lot in the room, actually. It's one of the writer's room for this show is actually one of the most philosophical rooms I've ever been in, because you talk a lot about this stuff. Like, what is coexistence? What is segregationism versus isolationism? Which is, I mean, honestly, what the X-Men are doing right now in Hickman's runs is isolationism. It's border walls up. And so it's weird because we do walls in real world, but then now they're doing walls, but it's an interesting commentary. I'm withholding judgment to see where this all ends.
I think with that part of it is going to be what Destiny does. Because remember, a lot of people, like if you've been reading it and following along, Moira McTaggart's big thing was like, do not bring Destiny back.
Yep.
And that was because of one of her lies. You remember back in, I think it was, I don't remember, it was House X or Power to 10. It showed like Destiny finishing her off and everything was in flames. So I think Destiny and Mr. Sinister are going to be part of that issue where everything kind of falls apart.
Something.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too. Xander on Buffy existed for a reason. And they took Moira, and I think there's something powerful and aspirational to be telling people there are people who are not like you that will still join up for your cause. And they made her a mutant. And now I'm like, well, who are the humans that like I like in this world that I think are where Xavier is making headway with, and they are making headway with in changing minds. And I think that's the idea of allyship is something that the comic is no longer kind of speaking to anymore. I love the twist of Moira. Like, that's awesome. It's a concept that's cool. But then I was like, well, now I'm just like, when everyone's special, no one's special. Like, you need the human element there to understand the evolutionary argument that the X-Men are dealing with.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna get hate mail on Twitter now.
It's
Look,
Twitter.
Look, they send. Well, I was gonna say I get hate mail, but
We all do. Oh, trust me.
Yeah.
I love some of the stuff I hear sometimes. I'm like, oh, well, that's colorful and an
I-
analogy I never thought making.
It was funny because like I got caught gatekeeping for Storm, saying that people should know that she once had a mohawk, and then I know Mr. Jones had his issues with Storm drawing. Like people were just like going off on him about Storm. Like, yo, everybody just back up. No one, I didn't gatekeep for Storm from nobody. Like, I'm not sitting here taking Storm away, saying Storm is mine. You can't have her with her long, beautiful, luscious locks. No, I didn't say, like, I never said that. I was just like, if you watch and read the comics, like Storm had it in Days of Future Past episodes on X-Men anime series. She had the mohawk.
Yeah, she
If
did.
you watched it, and in the comics, she rocked that mohawk for a hot minute. Like, she had it. So there's nothing new here. Just like this, like folks who were getting upset because of purple Magneto suit. Like, if you read the comics and would go back and do some of your history, you would know that he rocked that purple suit.
Can we talk about that?
Thank you.
Let's talk about that.
Yes. I'm just like,
Can we talk about that?
like people just need to work. Like, I'm not saying, I'm not trying to be like meanful with this, but you do your research for other things out there in life. If somebody's giving you disinformation, you go and do your research online. That's all you gotta do. Just research it.
Research it, but it's also like when you're looking at, I will say, like, it's funny. The reaction to Storm's hair was surprising to me, for several reasons. But the more like, I have never before been hit with the phrase "luscious locks" in my life. And the first thing I thought was like, okay, well, it's in the comics, guys. And I will say some of it's the visual design element of just like you put that roster up is having the variety of hairstyles across all the characters and making that team look as dynamic as possible, without betraying who the characters are. Like the day that Cyclops has a mohawk, you're like, like, or Jean with a mohawk, which granted, I mean, she doesn't even ever have a mohawk. She has her kind of like her tomboyish cut in Age of Apocalypse. But yeah, the Storm mohawk thing is something that I'm confident the show will be vindicated by once people see it.
I'm sure it will. I'm fine with it. I don't care. Like, I'm excited. We got a new X-Men. I'm just be excited when we get some new Spider-Mans. Like, I want, and this is just the old me and nostalgia talking here. I just kind of want like the stuff like we had back on the Saturday mornings when we woke up. Yeah, like, hey, we're waking up early, making our bowl of cereal, sitting down in front of the old television and watching this stuff. Fox Kids. Hey, guess what, guys? It's Spider-Man time. Like, oh man, you got your Lucky Charms in your bowl. You're like, all right, time for some New Gen Nightmare. Like, what's going to happen on part 5? Or and then it's like X-Men. Like, oh man, Dark Phoenix. What's going to happen now? Oh, they're getting taken into space. Like, you want that excitement. Like, that's all I want is that excitement as being the kid who had his figures sitting in front of the TV, had them all lined up, and you're ready to like. And like you said, I used to do it myself. I used to do full complete storylines with my superpowers figures. It was so much fun, especially when you had that kryptonite ring from Superman. It was so awesome. But you just want that. Yeah. But that's just me. I'm excited because you get to see it now again with new eyes. And when you look at some of that other stuff, like you look at it when you're a kid, you looked at it through your kid eyes, and then you go back and watch it like, oh, now I see what they're talking about now. Like, there's little pieces, like little hints that you miss as a kid that you realize as adult, like, oh, okay, now I'm kind of getting it.
That nostalgia is important.
Yes. Yeah,
that nostalgia is important. And like I can say, like, that is something that the show is intentionally going to be talking about, especially like nowadays with this nostalgia fetish. I think that the industry is in, largely because the world has become, quite frankly, a lot more miserable than we all remember it. It's natural that everybody looks back to the past to find those things like that, I mean, literally, I think one of the reasons that X-Men the Animated Series came back with such a roar was in 2020. It dropped, and it was just like the perfect medicine for that and Golden Girls. All my friends were watching either that, Golden Girls, or Friends. Everybody went back to these like comfort foods during the pandemic to just make themselves feel better. And you know, that aspect of the purpose of nostalgia and the virtue of nostalgia, but also the vice of nostalgia is something that I would say if you're looking for like any kind of like would be something to pay attention to in terms of what the show's going to be tackling.
Okay.
Real quick before we move on, we got a couple more minutes here. Jasper says, from what I saw, people say that Mohawk Storm is the only version they see, but I think that's a lack of research.
Yeah.
Before I get into Grace's questions, I just want to read these other ones. Mr. Jones says, got my juice in my cereal, time to see what old Silverman is getting into today.
Always something bad.
Always.
Jasper says, I felt for Jubilee when she didn't get to go to space. Brian says, the Spider Slayer stories were killer on animated Spider-Man. Yes, they were.
Can we actually pause there real fast? Talk about questionable choices on the X-Men's half. Let the underage teenage girl get taken prisoner. Like, what?
Yeah.
Really? Like, Jubilee, do you feel good about yourself when you went to bed that night? Like, no.
Mr. Jones says Golden Girls is top tier. And I do like some Golden Girls. I enjoy
Girls
some
is
Golden
top
Girls. Thank you for being a friend.
Great show. Great show.
Blanche. Greg says, Beau, are there any old censorship rules from the original run that still have to be followed today? That's a good question.
Like a certain purple-haired psychic that couldn't be, you know, on the show because she was quote unquote too sexy.
No.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Get him a
So
girl.
you might get your you might get your bikini. You might get your sideline now.
Yeah, boy. Well, she was on the animated series. She was on one of the episodes of Arcane. But
Towards the end, she shows up briefly in
12. Is she not 12?
It's during Beyond Good and Evil. She's definitely in that, but I think she shows up before that once too.
Did they show her like in a flash or something, like a flash scene?
Yeah.
She is that if it's the episode, but she shows up to basically rob Warren. Warren.
Yeah.
She robs Warren and he chases after her, and then like you see him with his like blue face and his new wings and
Yep.
Warren too.
So two questions for you real quick. One is a real quick one. Maybe you don't know this or not. What day of the week will it be on?
I don't know actually.
Okay. I know it's usually Wednesdays and Thursdays, but I was quite curious if maybe they would throw it out there on a Saturday to bring back that old nostalgia sort of thing.
Yeah, that would be cute.
That would be cute.
That would be
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, those will be conversations like when we get closer, I think, to
Okay.
we have episodes.
And more of a general question, just because it's rare we get so many animated series fans in the room together at one time. I think I talked about this in one of the previous episodes. So obviously you love this show. You've done even more research to prepare for it. Maybe this is just a lacking in my understanding of the show from back when I was a kid. I still don't understand Cable's deal. So obviously I know he's from the future, blah, 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 right? But yet in season 1, he's just running around Muir Island doing stuff. Not Muir Island, sorry. Help me out. Genosha. And then all of a sudden he's in the future in the year 3000. Just as fans, can somebody explain to me what that was? What happened there? Like,
my man's time sliding. He's
time sliding, man. He's saving the world and shit. No, I got him.
I think the way to approach one, if you read the Leewald's book, is like they didn't know if they were getting a season 2, first of all.
Yeah.
So I think part of it is also that, like, you introduce the character, you're like, okay, cool, this is great, fans are gonna like it. And then you get season 2, and then you're like, okay, we should probably actually try to make this character align a bit more with what their comic book. And he's not just a mercenary; he is a time traveling mercenary. So I've always taken it, and I think it's open to interpretation. I've always taken it as one: you never know what version of Cable you're getting, because I defy anybody to explain to me how many timelines are in the future based on the many different bad futures we've seen from the X-Men. But you also never know what age he is when he's coming back. So I've always taken it as that.
Gotcha. Thanks.
I'm just asking this for me personally. When Bishop shows up with his Jerry curls again, can we get that cool, like that cool Southern music that he had before?
Yeah. Why did he have that?
Yo, because he was Bishop. Yo, Jerry curls were flowing, man. That Jerry curl juice was like, he's like, let your soul glow.
That's what I love about his future, is that the world's wrecked and he's still finding some soul glow for his hair.
Yeah, exactly.
That is Bishop's. He's like, I'm a time cop. And I'm working with the Sentinels because they give me hair products.
Right. That's why I work for these people.
Also, like, what a choice! What a choice that he's actually on their side at the beginning of that arc. People forget that he was actually working for the man.
That is true. Yeah, he was. Okay, figures with the super chat. Thank you very much. Says, I love all you guys, long time listener. Thank you. He did ask. He's like, can Cal Dodd come back? We'll see. We will see, sir. We shall see.
I had a real quickie. As you mentioned that you're big into costume changes and attire, like I am for my wrestling and so on. Can we expect some battlefield attire changes within this short season? Meaning, is everyone going to be sticking to their 97 costumes, or will be, slight little hints to?
I think part of the nostalgia of the show is those costumes. I'm a writer, people, and I don't know grammar. Are those costumes?
Right.
And so, I think if the intention is not to make you want to meet the show on its own terms. And I think key to that is if you want to sit down and you want to, like, the moment Cyclops shows up, I think in his, Mutant Revolution costume, you've broken the illusion of the 90s, and now the cartoon stops feeling like the thing that you knew. Which is a big conversation we had. Is like, those suits were what they wore. Very rarely did they ever change costumes, and if they did, it was always for a narrative reason that spoke to theme, or because someone fucked with the timeline. And I was a big proponent. So was Brad Winterbottom, of just like those Jim Lee costumes. That is so just part of the secret sauce of that cartoon nostalgia when it comes to that. But the big one, obviously, being that we did change is Magneto. Yeah. And again, that was with a firm narrative purpose, and the purpose also being linked to canon.
Makes sense.
I was actually surprised by how many people didn't realize that costume was part of his journey. Like, and people are like, "What the hell is this costume?" And
people got so mad. I'm almost like, "Please read the comic, please."
Just research.
Go on the Google machine and look it up.
And people hate when you tell them that. They're like, "Well, you can just look it up and go read the." Well, I don't want to do that.
But wait,
why you get mad?
Hold on, because I do remember, and I do recall when Magneto was sporting that certain costume, a certain Earth's Mightiest Heroes had some beef with him, and I believe the X-Men had to come to their saviors, to their leader's aid at that point. So I'm just alluding to, and I'm not acting direct. But will that or might that happen?
I think part of what this show needs to do is be an X-Men show first and foremost. Yeah. And just because of the notoriety of the Avengers rising, obviously, it would be kind of a criminal mistake to start letting them overshadow the X-Men. But it's like what I said on the panel at Comic-Con, the idea is someone has to lead the X-Men now that Xavier's not on Earth and is jamming with his bird princess girlfriend. And so you look at the comics and you look at when that happened. He was wearing that costume when he kind of stepped up into the Xavier and decided to walk Xavier's path. And that's like the reason that compelled me to say, like, that's the costume we're doing.
There you go.
Love it.
All right, folks. Beau, thank you for hanging out with us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. This was awesome. So much fun. This was so much fun.
Yes, it was excellent time, and it just got our X-Men juices flowing. Love it.
So excited. So pumped. Thank you.
Are we going to stay on afterwards and chat a little bit?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah. I can raise afterwards. You raised a question that I actually want to give you a bigger answer to that I'm not going to give to the white group.
Oh snap!
So, folks, we gotta go. We gotta go. Bye. Bye. Appreciate it. Was that related? Thank you all for hanging out with us. I appreciate each and every one of you every week. please do not forget. We will be off next week, but I will be kind of doing a little bit of stream from New York Comic Con next week, so I will be out there. If you are out there, come by and say hi. Me and Alex will be out there hanging out. Alex will be at his table doing some awesome drawings, so grab some stuff from him. But I will also be out there. I got a couple people hit me up and say, hey, can we hang out? Sure. I don't mind hanging out with you at New York Comic Con. I'm just letting you know, probably like on Thursday or Friday, I will try to go to Rockefeller, 30 Rockefeller Place, because I need to go to the NBC Center. There's a reason why I need to go there. I got connects.
Another flex, huh?
Yo, I can flex that because that's actually where I work at for. So I can flex that. I'm happy about that.
That's true. You do kind of work. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I'm trying to go see Saturday Night Live. But thank you all for hanging with us. Like I said, we kind of doing some streaming there from Instagram on Infinity Equation Instagram page. So definitely be on the lookout for that. We'll try to get some footage and get a video up for that once I come back. And then after that, it'll be time for Legion's Con, and you'll see us out there. You'll see me, Tim, Art, and then you'll also be seeing Just Jay. He'll be with me. So giving a ride up to Legion's Con. But we'll all be hanging out. So there's a lot going on within the next couple of weeks, and it's just gonna be good times. Good times for all. So for Figgy, for Tim, for me, and for our awesome guest, Beau, over here.
Mr. Beau.
Like, yo, Beau, I'm just like, yo, do you just want to be part of the show every week? Because that'd be awesome.
You're coming back on. You got it.
You feel like you like
back. I wish I had the time to come back every week.
You just feel like you're part of the crew now. Like you're part of the honorary guest. Like you're up in that guest host category. Like if I'm not here, like, hey, let Beau handle the show. I don't care. Tim and Figgy can hang with Beau, and Beau can hang with them. Like they're good. They're good. They'll be all right. They all right. They don't need me now. Because honestly, I have not. I haven't missed a show at all yet. And this has been 3 years running.
For you. We'll help you.
Appreciate it, because it's 3. This is 3 years of me not missing a show. So like, I feel like it's like the worst work thing ever, and we just lost Beau. Oh, he's back.
I'm back.
All right, folks. Appreciate y'all hanging out again. But anything last you want to say to everybody before we get out of here?
Oh, but you'll see me again before the show premieres. I'll jam with you guys again.
Nice.
Probably have more stuff to talk about at that point.
Ooh. All right. Well, Tim, go ahead and take us out as always, sir.
Well, hey, Beau, thanks for being here, man. Really appreciate you. You're doing God's work bringing this back to us, sir. You really are. Everybody around our age is so thankful. Everybody watching, thank you so much. If you're listening over on all the podcasts and whatnot apps, leave a message down below. What do you call it? A review, Dante? Put a review down below. Follow all these gentlemen. Follow Dante at his Instagram, Dark Joker's in. Follow Figgy. Check out Beau's stuff, everybody. But overall, thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. Stay healthy. We'll be seeing all of you at the pegs.
There we go. And it's the one and only action figure skinny. Don't you forget that. He's the one and only. There's that faker out there on Instagram. Don't you get that figure out of here. He's the real Figgy. Okay, he's the real one. He's been the real one since 1967. I know him.
Yeah.
Back
Hell
in
yeah. Been that guy.